Nowadays, we hear discussions about how we should act and what practices we should develop in order to improve and adopt a virtuous life with Stoicism. However, we rarely talk about the behaviors that already exist in our lives that are completely harmful. Epictetus stated the following: "There are two vices that are much darker and more serious than the others, the lack of persistence and the lack of self-control." Epictetus understood that the key to a righteous life is persistence. Being persistent means never stopping making an effort and acting appropriately, even when we're not motivated. This involves developing new habits that improve us. Establishing good habits is not simple, so we must remain constant. Another crucial key is self-discipline. Self-discipline encompasses the ability to avoid temptations and harmful behaviors that eat away at us. We must control our minds to resist these influences. On this channel, there are several videos that discuss Stoic virtuous practices, but I haven't yet dealt with the elements that we should avoid. What everyday habits and patterns should we reject? This is the perfect time to start eliminating everything that harms you from your life, avoiding negative emotions that divert your focus, or putting an end to any obstacle that prevents you from achieving your goals. We often complain that our days are short, but we behave as if they were infinite. Seneca reflected deeply on life and concluded that many of us merely exist rather than truly living. We waste our time on empty activities and put off what is essential. By acting lazily, we act as if we were eternal, without recognizing that time is our most precious resource. Nothing guarantees that we will be alive tomorrow or in a position to achieve our goals. In the words of Marco Aurelio, "You could stop living right now." Let this guide your actions, words, and thoughts. This reflection on time prevents us from wasting it and helps us to value its meaning. The first step to living a good life is to take the time we have seriously. 1. Don't seek recognition. Stop wanting gain or validation for every action. If you've done something competently, helped someone or succeeded, don't seek approval or recognition from others, believing that others should thank you for what you do on their behalf, or that they should congratulate you on your achievements, only brings you grief. You don't control other people's reactions, let alone whether they will appreciate or reject your actions. Your control lies only in your own actions. Allow the end of an action to be the action itself, not getting recognition. If you do something, do it because it brings you happiness or because you believe it's the right thing to do. Approval and praise are often the result of well-executed actions. However, if no one recognizes your efforts and achievements, nothing changes. You didn't act for that reason. You acted because it was right. Understanding this will result in your internal satisfaction, regardless of other people's opinions. Dedicate yourself to doing your best. 2. Stop ignoring injustice. In Stoic teachings, justice is one of the most important virtues. Philosophers such as Marcus Aurelius and Cicero often talk about this virtue in their writings. Being just means treating others correctly, acting according to duty. In the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius talks about how injustice can also be committed when we do nothing. By allowing injustice to occur without acting, standing by and watching makes us accomplices. It is part of justice to prevent the injustices that occur around us, even when we are not the perpetrators. Although the Stoics advocate avoiding unnecessary conflicts, they also believe that we should live in harmony with others. However, there are situations in which a Stoic cannot ignore injustice. The moment when unnecessary conflict becomes necessary is when an injustice is committed against oneself or others. The Stoic virtues are wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. Although we cannot control the unjust actions of others, our own actions to avoid them are within our control. This makes us responsible for acting and avoiding that responsibility. It makes us complicit in injustice, even if we didn't cause it. 3. Stop getting emotionally attached to things. Let go of excessive emotional attachment. The Stoics believe that we need to learn to let go not only in physical terms, but also emotionally. If you've made a mistake in life, don't torture yourself for it. Learn from the mistake in order to avoid it in the future, but don't torment yourself with guilt and regret. These emotions don't help. That doesn't mean it's wrong to experience them. They allow us to recognize our faults. However, once we have understood and learned from the situation, we must not allow these emotions to continue. We all make mistakes. Don't suffer excessively, and always look for ways to grow from these failures. Before I go any further, if you're enjoying the content, I'd be grateful if you'd like it and subscribe to the channel to help spread the Stoic message. Thank you. 4. Stop being a slave. Seneca observed, "He is a slave. Show me a man who is not a slave. One is a slave to lust, another to greed, another to ambition, and all human beings are slaves to fear. No servitude is more shameful than the one we impose on ourselves. Seneca was right to say that we are all slaves to something, often without realizing it. We forget that in order to be truly free, we need to completely dominate our minds, allowing us to resist the temptations that arise in our lives. Discipline is the most effective tool for achieving freedom and exercising control over our minds. Although this task is more challenging for some than for others, we must all remember on a daily basis who is in charge, us or our impulses. As Epictetus said, no individual is free unless he is master of himself. 5. Don't let anxiety overwhelm you. In the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Today I escaped anxiety, or rather I dismissed it because it was in me and not in the world outside." External events do not generate anxiety. You alone are responsible for this feeling, which arises internally due to thoughts about future events. Anxiety doesn't help you. It doesn't make you better. It doesn't even help you solve the problem. It's just a thought that tortures you by thinking about what may or may not happen in the future. Remember that whatever happens in the future, even if your life is uncertain, you faced more difficult situations before. Understand that you have the tools to deal with any problem that may arise. Differentiate between the things you can't control and the things that are within your control. And think about the worst that can happen. In many cases, you'll realize that the situation is less serious than you thought, that it was just a trick your mind was playing on you. Anxiety comes as a way of stopping you in time, because the fear and agony it brings prevents us from acting. It's often difficult to dismiss anxiety because we don't know how to see the feelings that produce it. For this reason, I've left a link in the first comment explaining how Marcus Aurelius did it to get rid of his anxiety. It's in the first comment. Take a look. 6. Don't worry about insignificant things. Every day, all the time, many things happen. However, the truth is that most of them don't really matter, just like an Instagram notification, for example. Marco Aurelio wisely advises us not to pay more attention than necessary to small things. In short, don't worry about the insignificant things, those that are beyond your control, that don't contribute to your life goals, that distract you from what really matters. You have to ignore them. We don't need to have an opinion on everything. Some things don't even need to be registered. You can simply ignore them and focus on what really matters. Ask yourself the following questions. Is this essential? Is it truly important? And if not, what's the point of bothering? Let it go. 7. Stop procrastinating. In his book, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could be good today, but you choose to be good tomorrow." Or in the words of Seneca, "All fools have in common the habit of always getting ready to start." We prefer to say, "I'll do it tomorrow," rather than "I'll never do it." Often when we put something off, it's as if we never intended to do it. If there's a task to be done, do it now. What's the logic in putting off something that's necessary, even if it's hard to overcome laziness? It's always wiser to do what needs to be done now for several reasons. Firstly, as I've already said, our time is limited. And secondly, rest is more rewarding when we fulfill our obligations. When we put things off due to laziness, we feel guilty, aware that we should be active instead of resting. We don't enjoy rest in the same way, because internally we know we don't deserve it. The worst thing is that we eventually have to face up to the responsibility we've put off. So putting it off doesn't benefit us at all. The few sensations that surpass the satisfaction of a job well done are the feeling of overcoming a challenge and the fulfillment that comes from achieving something. Besides, doing something well means doing it at the right time, not later. 8. Don't value other people's opinions more than your own. When someone criticizes you, do an exercise suggested by Marcus Aurelius. Take a moment to think about that person, reflect on their character, their achievements, and what they stand for. What you'll realize is that this person's opinion, which you were about to allow to overshadow your own assessment of yourself and your work, is actually worthless. They are the opposite of what you want to be. So it's better that they don't appreciate what you're doing. Don't seek her approval. Instead, focus on your own ideas, on who you want to become. As Aurelio says, we should love ourselves more than others, but somehow we tend to care more about other people's opinions than our own. This is madness. We should focus on our own authenticity, our own measure of success, and evaluate ourselves on that basis. Don't attach importance to empty, worthless opinions from people you honestly don't respect. When you're receiving an external opinion from someone you're not close to, that person is actually hurt and feels the need to direct that hurt towards others. In this case, they want to see you worse off than they are, which will really satisfy their ego. Ignore it and get on with your life. 9. Don't settle for mediocrity, strive for excellence. Whenever you do something in your life, ask yourself, did I do my best? When you reflect on your life, you'll realize that in many situations, you didn't give it your all. The question is, why are you involved in something that doesn't deserve your best? And if it does, why didn't you do your best? Reflect on each action and commit to doing your best. We can't control the success of our actions, much less guarantee victory or defeat, or even recognition for what we do. But we do have control over the effort and dedication we put into our actions. Anything beyond our control shouldn't consume our attention. Why settle for mediocrity when you have the ability to do something extraordinary? 10. Don't be afraid of change. In the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote the following: "The destiny of all things is to change, to transform, to perish, so that they can be reborn." Everything in life is subject to change, both positive and negative. Struggling to keep things the same traps us in something we don't control, preventing us from seeing the many opportunities that can arise in our lives. Don't be afraid of these changes because they are inevitable and beneficial. Instead of resisting change, adapt and enjoy the good things that come with it. Change pushes us to progress and evolve. This does not mean rejecting the old or the present in search of change. If we are satisfied with the present, this indicates that we shouldn't be afraid because we have the ability to adjust to everything that life throws at us. 11. Don't avoid difficulties. Marcus Aurelius said, "The obstacle is the way." According to him, difficulties will come our way, as well as obstacles that we often want to avoid, because we opt for ease instead of sticking to our path. Deviating from the path because of a difficulty doesn't make it easier. It makes it longer and more painful. It's when we change our goal just because of the discomfort of the difficulty that comes our way. We have to hold firm to our words and our path, because that's the only way we'll get to the other side. The problem with deviating from the path is that whichever one we follow, we'll also face other obstacles, which is the nature of life. What's more, most of the time this obstacle isn't so difficult. It's our mind sabotaging us. As Seneca said, we suffer more in the imagination than in reality. So don't avoid difficulties. Even in the face of difficulties, we can improve our outlook on life, seeing it as a challenge to exceed our own expectations. This gives us the freedom to live life more fully, as Epictetus showed. He highlights the main points for living a full life. Click on the screen and see what these points were.